Okay, this is part 2 of my video presentation for my capstone project on how technology can help students mentally solve different ratio and proportion problems. The next section I am going to look at would be materials. And my materials, if it pulls up for me, um, I came up with obviously the Common Core standards, which I had listed here, and I'm not going to read every single one of those to you, but this is the different parts of the ratio and proportional standards for Common Core. Below the standards, I have a list of the websites, and these websites are absolutely phenomenal. I am so excited to have found these 4 different websites and cannot wait to implement them into my classroom next year. The first website is Thinking Blocks, which is actually a continuation of a different website, which is Math Playground. Math Playground is a website based through K through 6th grade, and they started Thinking Blocks to cover 6 through 12. And they have a particular portion set on ratio and proportions. And this is a different website where students can go through video tutorials. They can view their progress once they start actually participating in different problems. They can look at different modeling methods. They can see why their answer was incorrect. And what I really, really like about this website is the fact that they use this bar method to teach ratio and proportions. So you can actually get a visual of how 2 different things are proportional, or one ratio is similar to another. The second site that I have listed under my materials for my website is the Singapore Maths Teachers. And this website is a great website not only for students and teachers, but this really hits home with parents as well. This website focuses on being able to give parents tools so they are able to help with their student at home continue on with their education. There are different levels. So for different concepts that you would be looking at, so for an example right here, you have this is more focused on adding and subtracting different problems with positive and negative integers. But for this example, students would be able to go through slides to see how to solve different problems, and then not only will they be able to visually see how they can solve these problems, they are given once again the bar method on how to solve these types of problems. And this is also very informative for parents to use as well, and helping understand how students and teachers are getting the answers that they are getting for these different ratio and proportion problems. Okay, and then the third website that I have listed under my materials is Scale City. And Scale City is a great website, and I actually found this at the end of the school year, and I was able to use this with a couple of my students who were struggling with this at the end of the school year. Oops. And Scale City basically allows students the opportunity to enter into these different roadblocks and different sites while they are traveling across country, as they call it. So they are tiered and they are leveled for students' abilities. And the easier problems would be on the left-hand side of this. So for students that are struggling, I would have them focus on these 3 over here, and students as they advance, I would have them jump across to the right-hand side. So this first one, Dinosaur World, you'll see that they actually give students a video up here for them to watch about dinosaurs and how dinosaurs have changed over time, and how the different sizes of dinosaurs. As you can see in this picture, you have a adult dinosaur and a baby dinosaur. They also have it compared to this size-orama, which is basically like a scale model for this. And after students would go through this, they would be given the opportunity to go to that Sizeorama link and pull up a site like this, and it basically compares those dinosaurs that were the real life versions of the dinosaurs and compare that to the Sizeorama. Once students are given this, they're given the opportunity to pull from different tools, such as rulers and being able to make stuff into percents and a tape measure. So students are given different opportunities to use different tools to be able to get their measurements. And then after having and obtaining those measurements, they're able to create their ratios and proportions. Once students have went through and answered each of these questions and told the percents or what their answer is in feet or how many boys they're talking about for these different questions. Students can then check their answer. If students get their answer incorrect, they can't, and they don't understand why they got it incorrect, they are able to get help, and there will be a hint for whatever questions are left incorrect. And once students have finished one, then they can obviously move on to the next attraction. So they would just go back home, which would take them to the main road map, and then they would just work their way from the right hand or the left hand side of the screen to the right hand side of the screen. Like I said, on the left hand side, those are easier problems, and to the right, they are harder problems. So this is a good way for me to be able to tier a lesson or use differentiation within a lesson, and not have students know that they are actually getting extra help, or that they are getting more thought-provoking questions if they are ready to be pushed on to those other questions. The last material that I have on my website would be the Dash website for Pearson's books and Pearson's material. Basically, this website allows me access to our students' textbooks online, and it allows me to be able to conduct different experiments in different labs and provide students worksheets. It gives me an opportunity to have a chat room with my students, and they're able to digitally send me homework or whatever else I put together for them. Basically, if I wanted my students to be able to complete a lab on this website, they would be able to do that and put it under their folder and submit that information to me. So overall, I feel like I found 4 really solid websites that I'll be able to implement and use next school year. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move on to my reflection tab. And for my reflection, this capstone project allowed me to see many different forms of research and different ways to implement technology into my classroom. Like I've said over these last 2 videos, moving into next school year for ratios and proportions, I'm really excited about the fact that I did not get that chance to use technology last year, and moving forward with ratio and proportions next school year. I'm really looking forward to it based on the different research that I have found and the different websites that are available to help students improve their understanding of mathematical concepts and problem solving skills. Um, like I said, I discovered many websites to implement and throughout the school year, but I also found a handful of websites that I'm not going to be able to implement next school year because of the cost. Like I mentioned in the part 1 of my capstone video, our school does not have funding for me to be able to purchase different websites. So it was really important for me to find free websites because I would not have the funds to be able to do that next school year. Something that was really cool for me while I was going through this research, I found different ways that I would be able to use current technologies that I myself already possess or my students have. And those would be things like cell phones or different gaming systems to help teach mathematical concepts. Now, I know that each and every single one of my students last year had a smartphone with them and it was on them at all times. And I was kind of hesitant to allow students to use smartphones in class. But now, after looking through some of these different websites and different materials, I feel a lot more comfortable as long as I've set forth different rules and regulations for those technologies that are being used. But like I said, students have cell phones for the most part. I have a handful of computers. I am going to be getting Google Chromebooks, a handful of them next school year. So that would be able to allow me to provide students that do not have smartphones with technology that they can use in the classroom and outside of the classroom. But I really want to make sure that I take advantage of the fact that students already have technology with them and they're already used to using their cell phones on a daily basis. My hope in using these websites is that their mental math abilities and basic math skills increase next year and they're not relying on calculators as much. Um, Another thing that I put in my reflection was the quote that I mentioned earlier about never use a different tool if you have a good built-in machine, meaning their brains instead of using a calculator. Like I said before, I really cannot wait to blow that up and put it on a poster and hang it up in my classroom next year because I think that's a very important message for our students to see. Um, the use of technology in my classroom will not only help engage and motivate students, like I found in the research, but it'll also help improve their mental math concepts and their problem solving skills, which will help me tier the lessons, like I mentioned while we were going through the Scale City website. So I look forward to being able to help support students who need more time and interventions and allowing students to move on to challenging problems that are higher ability level um, students and allow them to have more thought-provoking questions. Um, if I'm able to tier the lessons in my classroom with the use of technology, I can meet the individual needs of my students, which in all reality is the goal for each and every one of our students in each and every one of our classes. Overall, I feel like I have learned a great amount of information through this research. And like I've said many times, I cannot wait to implement all of this material into next school year. Thank you for watching my video presentation, and I hope you enjoy my website.